And if he gives a second chance, it's in a coma. And most people don't even come out of the coma. What do you think is responsible for people suddenly slumping and dying, especially in Nigeria, and with Sami Okoso as a case study?
Thank you very much again. I think first we have to send our deepest and heartfelt condolences to the family of the late gospel singer Sami Okposo. It is a very bad and very sad, pathetic news to know that someone at his age, in his prime, at 51, could just, without any prior notice of maybe health crisis or illness, suddenly slumped and died. I'm sure that his family, the gospel musician community, and the church generally, not just in Nigeria but also the people that he has touched all over the world, will be in shock and of course feel that an Iroko, as we used to say in Yoruba land, has fallen. May the Almighty God grant his soul eternal rest and comfort his family at this period. Then, on the question of why people may be dying or slumping and be dying, what would normally refer to as sudden death. I think there are factors that could be responsible to it. I'm not a medical personnel, but like you said, with information on the street, on what people have seen, the reports that we have had, and of course the lifestyle that we have observed, someone like Sami Okposo dying at the age of 51 calls for a lot of concern. Medically, we are told that immediately you cross the age of 40, it's still your prime age, but of course there are certain risks that you are vulnerable to as a human being, as an individual. And of course, we live in an age where our lifestyle is career oriented. We try as much as possible to catch our edge in what we do. We want to make name as much as we want to make money. We want to give our children a better future, and we want to see that at least we leave a legacy that could be that could be referred to, that could be referenced in the future. So, in the quest to do this, most often we throw everything, especially cautions, we put it to we put caution to the winds, and by putting ourselves to it. In that quest, most often we do not always give cognizance to the fact that we are living in a body that requires certain attention.
Servicing like our cars.
Yes, servicing like our car. We feel that if we take little rest, we feel that if we eat little food and all those things will help. But then, when we talk about sudden death, like people slumping and dying, medical professionals tell us that an individual could be predisposed to ailments like diabetes, like stroke, like heart diseases that could get the veins or whatever to be contract in a way that suddenly, instances
Blood
like this,
flow can
the
stop
blood flow
suddenly.
could be inhibited, and then it can cause all these things we are talking about. And of course, there are many by our lifestyle. You mentioned it on the program here sometimes ago that what we consider to be forms of relaxation in this part of the world. When people, today is Friday, thank God it's Friday. When people
Go drinking.
when they leave the office on
red
Friday,
meat.
it is time for them to eat so much. It is time for them to drink alcohol so much, and this is in the reality that most of us do not burn the kind of toxins that come into our body. I can't remember. Most of us cannot remember when last we go before the doctor to say, please, I need a comprehensive medical checkup to know what ails me, what is wrong. At least once you are above 40, you are asked to regularly check your BP, to check your sugar level, and I think some few other things. At least you check your vital
Cholesterol,
organs as well, to know that what could be at what could I be at risk of at this particular age. So we, because of our environment, of course, we have been here talking about public health deficiencies for some time. Most people do not know what is wrong with them. And I always been saying that we have a number of sick people that are walking the street with the ignorance of their health status. And when you do not know what is wrong with you,
you are likely to be
you are like you just be going, and when you have the signal coming to you as symptoms of maybe a headache, we are quick to go and approach drug sellers to give us paracetamol, or go to herbal places or ask them to give us agbo, all those herbs, without any I mean, at least there should be a diagnosis to understand that this is what is wrong with me for me to have treatment. So most of these things that people die of are not things that cannot be managed. Most of them are not what cannot be treated. But because of, first, like we said, the deficiency in the public health sector, the financial status of most of us. And I have said, people like me, for long I said, I cannot live in Lagos State. I cannot live in Lagos State again. I used to be there. I lived more than 10 years in Lagos. Because
when you were there, you were thinking you could not live anywhere
I
else
could not,
but
yes,
Lagos.
that's what I thought. But later I discovered it that there are times, especially in this job, where you go to work early in the morning, you come back. There was a time that I was coming back from work at 2 a.m. My office will come and use the office car to drop me at home. But I looked at it, then I was I was much younger at that time, but what kind of stress level do I expose myself to in the name of working? We have parents that their children do not even know clearly, because they hardly spend the daytime with them. They only see them maybe at night. Before the parents come back from home, they are already asleep. By the time the parents are leaving in the morning, the children were still sleeping. So it constitutes a lot of society burden, because you have a man or a woman that is career inclined and I want to meet the economic demands of the home. So all this predisposes people to stress level. And when you see all these things and there is not enough safeguard, at least if I'm gulping toxins into my body, or knowingly or unknowingly, I should be able to approach an hospital to say, oh, please, I want to do checkup. The average income of a Nigerian is 30,000 naira minimum wage. That man has 2 or 3 kids or 3 kids. That man is sending his children to school, generating his own power, generating his own water. He is the road that is constructing his own road, and a number of other things. He is a government to himself. And for him to meet up with those challenges, he has a mother, he has a father, he has siblings that he assists. So when you look at the burden around an individual and how desirous it is for them to meet up with challenges, what we normally call as a bills paying, it gives so much pressure on why people may, even when you tell them that at times at home you'll be told that Mr. Man, please try to rest now. You said, no, I'm okay, and you know that you may feel okay, but how do you know that you are perfectly okay? No, and there are a lot of signals that we ignore, that it doesn't matter. So when it now comes to this level that we say, nothing happened with him, he just
fell down.
Something has been happening to him. It is because proper attention were not given to those signals when they were happening.
Thank you very much for this elaborate explanation. You have talked about people not managing their health properly, and then you have talked about trying to meet up with the economic situation of this country. As a man is a nation to himself, you have to provide everything for yourself. So suddenly you can collapse if you are not careful. However, I want to ask our diets, our meals, because I know that medics will always say garbage in, garbage out, just like the computer people will say. What you take in is what you are. That is what the medics will always tell you. So our diet, I know that also we have been advised to go organic. Now, organic products are very expensive. With the economic situation, and then somebody struggling to meet up with organic diet, won't he be affected by stress and at the end of the day still collapse?
Yes. Excuse me. I think it explains the almost the same thing I mentioned earlier. Yes, we are what we eat, like some people will say. I used to ask myself, I think somebody asked me a few days ago and said that, what did you eat in the afternoon? I said, is it what I eat in the afternoon or what I have gotten to eat at all? So people eat mostly what they see, not what we should be eating. You see people in the morning, maybe a family, and it's only rice that they can provide. If the family that can provide rice now is even trying,
rich, yes.
with the rate at which the price of rice is going. In the afternoon, maybe gari. At night,
Eba.
if they have eba or if you don't have anything, they sleep. You'd consider that almost the dietary value of an average, I'm not talking of the rich and the those people in government
The
and all those people,
average.
but the average Nigerian
It's carbohydrates.
hardly eats food that is said to be balanced. How many of us can afford? We are even lucky in this part of the country. If you are in Abuja, for instance, you can have access to fruits
Vegetables
and vegetables.
here and
You see
there.
banana. Now I see banana everywhere. There's watermelon here and there. You can see
Orange.
orange. You can see all those things. But then, how affordable are they
Distance.
with the inflationary rate that has been scaling and has been denying people the what do they call it, the financial power, the purchasing power? Because if you take your 10,000 naira to the market, even this January, don't let's look way back into 2015.
January is
Even
a
in
long time
January,
back. From January till now, the inflation rate has been
yes,
very
because
bad.
yes, I know that as at last year, Nigerian could still buy a bag of rice for 25,000 naira or a little less.
Now it's twice.
22,000, 23,000 naira. It's twice now. And your salary on your income
It's
has not
static.
doubled. It's still there. So Nigerians have these challenges, and I believe that is where exactly most of it, because if we are talking about medical checkups and all those things, the first, what I consider to be the first medical or dietary solution to the lifestyle should be what an individual should be able to manage by himself. What do I eat? How do I rest? Do I rest well? Do I eat well? From what I eat, what is it that I eat? I have a number of people that will tell you that I don't like fish. I don't like, what do you call it? I don't like chicken. They are bent or hooked on red meat. And of course, when you are above this age we are talking about, 40 years, you should avoid it. Those people that come from my part of the country, they want you to give them big carbohydrates. Maybe your semovita, maybe your rice, maybe
soup.
whatever, and they now give you soup. In fact, in that soup, you still have more of a stew, not much of the greens and all those things. So you look at all those things and you wonder, and at my age, if you are giving me carbohydrate, much more than, you are killing my system. You should give me little carbohydrate and balance it up with a lot of vitamins and vegetables. That is what the body needs at this period. So, but then I think what will help us is how much it is that we are sensitizing ourselves. Offline, I think earlier we were discussing, me and you, about people not, having access to buy certain things, and you told me, and correctly, that at times it's not because people cannot afford it.
Yes.
It's because people
Knowledge.
do not know.
The knowledge
People
of
should not know. By now, when you go overseas and you see people, some of them said they are vegetarians.
Yes.
Some people have said, no, we are not vegetarians, but they take more of grains, uncooked food,
Yes.
which is the best for us. But then, how are we able to manage this information? So I think that it is also very, very important for our people to know that you are what you eat, and your ailment, could be better handled. You can prevent a lot of sicknesses, diseases, and whatever it is with the right diet.
A lot of it.
When you eat well, when you sleep well, and you do not consider, there are many, then what we think again is another thing. And I think some weeks we were here talking about workplace healthy relationship.
Yes.
homes, relationship, and
we're
how
talking
people
about depression.
depression.
Yes.
We should not be a burden to ourselves. People should try to make people happy. People should try as much as possible to voice out. Everybody has one burden or the other in their heart. Do not take it for granted. When people go to church or mosque, the message should not just be about seed time. It shouldn't just be about come and sow money.
Tithing.
People are passing through a lot. That place should be a place of consolation, the place of solace. People should hear the message that will make them, that will add values to life. You go to religious places and they are asking someone who has not been able to eat for some time, to contribute money to something, and that individual, it is not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong for those that can afford it. I do when I can, but we shouldn't make it manipulative. It shouldn't be a burden on people that until you do this you don't go to heaven, until you do this you are not blessed by God. No, even in the Bible it is about according to your grace, according to how God has blessed you. Jesus called that woman of is it the widow of Zarephath, or where is it? He said she gave more. Yes, the widow's mite. He said she gave more than the people that gave billions and millions at that time with her 1,000 naira value to today, because she gave all that she had sacrificially. So we should not look at or make the society to be so toxic to the point that people hold on to themselves, people cannot talk, people have depression, and big men too. Samuel Okposo is not a small boy. He's a big man. Only God knows what has happened. We are waiting to hear. We may not know, but whatever it is that we know, only God knows what happened. People are carrying so much burden. But in the midst of it, we should not allow all this to weigh us to the point that we will now slump and die.
Thank you very much. Like you said earlier, the body has signals that it gives. Even though the medics say this high blood pressure is a silent killer, they call it a silent killer, but they still tell you that it has signals, it has red flags. However, there's something called genetic. I was reading about it, and it says once you have a family line that has high blood pressure, high blood sugar, or some of these ailments, most of these ailments are genetic. And once you have a family line that, even cancer, I was reading about it, once you have a family line that has it, watch what you eat. So many of us, despite the fact that you have a family line, you are still living carelessly. You know that, okay, my father is hypertensive, then I should mind what I eat to save. There are a lot of people from genetic BP, genetic health problems, and they escaped. It was something that they did practically. It was not by a stroke of luck. So most of the time, many of us just believe that I can't have a high blood pressure.
Not my portion.
It's not my portion. That's our prayer point. It's not my portion. It cannot happen to me. But however, once there's a genetic thing to it, you run a risk. It becomes a problem that you have to manage, because everything about us is genetic. Everything about humans is genetic. And still, despite the fact that it's genetic, we are told that once your diet is correct, it controls it. So if genetically diet can control the genetics, why don't we use the diet to help ourselves? I heard the story of a woman some time ago who had cancer. I heard she was even in maybe stage 2 or 3 of the cancer. And someone just sat her down and said, "Madam, cancer feeds more of sweet things. Go on bitters." And the woman started going on vegetables, every kind of bitter vegetable she comes across. They said she stopped eating anything cooked. She was practically living on leaves and fruits, all those bitter fruits and vegetables. And within a space of like 6 months, she started recovering. She was recuperating. She was at the stage of them cutting off the breast, but she started recuperating, and they said finally she came out of it. Why? She went into diet control. She left the things she was eating. But a lot of people say today, it's expensive to eat right. No, we hear it all over. It is not expensive to eat right. It is important to know what is right to eat. Eating right is not meat. In the Yoruba culture, we believe that if you are eating without meat, it is it is the highest level of poverty. You are being stricken so badly with poverty. So I have a colleague, whenever she wants to eat, she'll put a big chicken on her food. She will not eat the chicken. She will go and put it back in the freezer. When she wants to eat again tomorrow, she will warm the chicken and put it on top. So if any guests, different guests will come and say, this woman is enjoying, see this big chicken. The woman does not eat it. She can use one chicken for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because she said, once they come in and see you eating without chicken, they will frustrate you. They will say things that will depress you. So, like you said, sir, you said that our food, what we eat, we should learn to understand what we eat. And also our system talks to us. Sometimes you feel suddenly dizzy. Find out why. Don't just take it for granted. Sometimes you want to stand up and you drop back. Find out why. And you also said something about going to the hospital for checkup. I want to take you up on that, sir. When last did you go for checkup?
I can't sincerely remember when last I did, but I know that, like you said, you mentioned something about hereditary and genetic formation. That is who we are, definitely. And that's why we're talking about information and getting to know. You must study yourself and study your lineage to know where you are coming from.
Yes.
In the family where I come from, there is something that I have observed. Nobody told me this. I've seen 1, 2, 3 of my uncles dying as a result of the same ailment. And because of that, I just throw myself into the lab and tell them I want to do this particular test to know if I was. And funny enough, I went to the hospital sometimes ago and discovered that yes, that thing was about to be triggered. So as if I was wise and I'm a human being, of course I have to they didn't give me any medication to control. It's just my lifestyle. Right. So I had to change my lifestyle to safeguard or to prevent me from allowing that particular thing to get full blown, which it could cost life, may not cost life, depends. But then why do you want to even put yourself at risk in the first place? You are a father, you are a husband, you have siblings, and everybody needs you. So those are the issues. Now, the hereditary issue is very, very, very important, and we have to take note of it. And we should not use religion to blindfold ourselves to say that certain things will not happen. One of the famous international pastors that I know is Bishop T.D. Jakes. Yes, T.D. Jakes. He said he noticed that people in his families were dying before the old age. Yes. And he went to God that God, what is it that why people die? And God told him that you too, you will die. Wow. And he was like, God, why? And God said, look at your weight. Look at your weight. It means in that family they were all obese. And because of that, he went on working on himself. T.D. Jakes is still alive. So we should know, we should not just ignore many things. It is not, if he had said that I'm a child of God, I'm a servant of God, God want me to push my ministry, it would have been in the grave by now. So we should know there is a place of God, there's a place of medicals, and there's a place of ourselves, discipline.
And you need this body
and you need this
carry
body.
Out spiritual activities.
If you are dead, if you are gone, the ministry continues. If it continues, if it doesn't continue by you, someone else will pick take it up. So all these things we must know. Let us be sensitive to what we eat. Let us change our lifestyle. Like you said, it is not until you have pomo, shaki, body, intestine, not until you do all those things that you eat, that you live well. Yes. But what is the quality of what you eat or what your body needs?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Remi Adebayo, for this elaborate explanation. You have warned us to be very careful with what we eat. It's not plenty of kilishi, plenty of balangu, plenty of suya. It's not and plenty of dambunama. No. It's
and weekend, plenty of bottles, grey bottles.
And then you take furade in quantity. It's not healthy. Please mind your lifestyle. In fact, there has to be moderation in everything. Please moderate your relaxation
and drink water.
Drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of liquids. That's how they put it in the medical palace. Yes. Take a lot of liquid, not alcoholic liquid.
Save liquid.
Save liquid. So that is it on the main issues today on Friday, and it's been with Mr. Remy Adebayo all the while. He has given us a few tips, and then very soon we'll be bringing in a medical doctor to come and explain to us the reason for this slumping in the actual medical terms. We have only spoken in our layman's language, in what we read, what we heard, and then what we have seen practically. By the time we see the doctors, they'll be able to give us the actual reason. Then we'll bring in a nutritionist who will be talking to us in details about the kind of food we eat, because an adage says eat to live, not live to eat. So that will help us to grow better. Thank you very much for joining us. It's weekend. Mind your relaxation and enjoy yourself in a very, very, very simple and moderate way. I'm Yetunde Yemi Bangbushi on Abuja City Journal's online television. Join us again same time on Monday for a fresh edition. Thank you very much. The crew, Mr. Likan, Mr. Patrick, and Hajia Fati, thank you for making this program a success.